Improving your game is going to be found in creating the proper address position, how you set up to this golf ball. It is vital, and there's a lot of little things in there. And for beginning golfers, this is probably the most important thing that you can do is get really good at this. You don't have to be a great athlete to get set up properly. And for those of you that are better players, a very good reminder of how you can improve your game and when you lose your swing, where you go first. Because I always tell people, go to pre-swing before you go to in-swing. Pre-swing is influencing in-swing. I was talking to a player on my radio show on a Newbury to Golf last week, and they said to me they were having some putting problems, and they went right to aim and alignment. Phenomenal. The stroke was fine, but the aim and alignment were off, and I couldn't make anything. It's exactly what I want you to do. What we do as amateurs, we default to what we're doing in motion that's causing the problem instead of what we're doing before the club gets put into motion. That's the problem, and that's what I want you to pay attention to. So we're going to talk about proper address position here, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Tell your friends, hey, that breed's got something going on. You need to pay attention to this because he's going to help you play better golf. So let's first just talk about a couple of the more important things. One, when you get set up, there's bends and breaks. There's bends and breaks. So if we go down the line, I'm going to bend in my waist, and I'm going to break my knees. I don't want to break in my waist and bend in my knees. I don't want to get down to the golf ball by bending the knees. I want to just put a little break in them. And then I want to bend here. And the bend that I have is going to change with each golf club. If I have a 9-iron, I'm going to be down here like this. If I have a driver, I'm going to be up here like this. I'm still going to have bend. It's just not as much bend. So you want to bend and break. Bend and break. And so when I bend and break, what I also want to pay attention to is where are my shoulders, okay? Now, if you go back down the line again, Gibbsy, my shoulders are roughly at the tips of my feet. If I bend the knees, now you can see my shoulders are inside that. And if I don't break the knees, I just bend the shoulders like this. Now my shoulders are outside of my toes or the top of the shoe. I want to bend and break. And now all of a sudden that club is right on my toes. And that's where I want to be. So when I get set up properly, that's going to help you find the distance to the ball. So when I'm looking at a proper address position, I want my rear to be outside of my heels, and I want my shoulders to be over my toes, right on the edge. And now my weight is dispersed in my foot properly. I'm not talking left side, right side. I'm talking toe to heel. I don't want to be on my heels where my toes are light, and I don't want to be on my toes where my heels are light. I want to be in the arches. And you're going to find that when you get set up properly. So now I'm set up in the position that I want. Now I find my distance to the ball. Now from here, I can turn and swing the golf club. And so what I want you to do is I want you to understand that the address position, the first place that we start is how we lower ourselves to the golf ball. The club head is on the ground. The golf ball is on the ground. The handle is above the ground. And I've got to take my hands and get them to the height of the handle, but still be able to stay in balance. Would still not be able to be out over like I'm skiing or like I'm tipping over here, okay? So I like to teach bend first and break second. I don't want to break first and bend second. And I certainly don't want to bend first and break second. I don't want any of that, all right? This idea, like, by the way, people would talk about, feel like you're sitting on a bar stool. No. I don't want my kids sitting on a bar stool. I don't want them to pretend they're sitting on a bar stool. Get rid of the bar stool. Okay, bar stool out. I just want you to feel like you're going to bend and break. And then just when you do that, you'll feel the weight in your feet. And your toes can move and your heels can move. And then as a result of that, then you can move. Back and through. So that's the first thing that we're going to talk about. The next thing that we're going to talk about is how our body is positioned, because this is a very interesting one. So what you need to understand is when you hold the golf club, your trail hand is lower than your lead hand. So when I stand like this, my lead hand, the one with the glove on it, my trail hand is lower than the lead hand. So when I go like this, it's lower. Now, if we come up to the top, that means that my trail shoulder should be lower than my lead shoulder. I don't want my shoulders to be dead level to the ground. I want them to be sort of tilted in an upward fashion because my trail hand is lower than my lead hand. Now, I'm going to put that down for just a second. When I take my shoulders and I tilt them like this, there's a natural movement of my head back. So when I stand like this, I'm 50-50 between my left side and my right side. If I go like this, I'm no longer 50-50. I got a little bit more back here in the upper body because my shoulders are at that angle because my right hand, my trail hand, my right hand is lower than my left hand, my lead hand. So now what I got to do is I got to take this hip girdle and just bump it forward just a little bit. It's not a massive like this. It's just a little bit. And so as we start to understand how we balance ourselves now left and right, not toe and heel, but left and right, there's a slight tilt of the spine. So we call this a bend and this a tilt. So I want you to feel like you've got a little bit of tilt and a little bit of bend. Now, when I tilt, my lead hip has to be just a little forward. So there's a slight lean of the trail leg towards the target. So when I get the tilt, now all of a sudden, that's the balance position. And I always like to say, and this is not the right number, I don't know what the right number is, because it changes, frankly, with people, and it changes with the shot that you're trying to hit, and it changes with the club. But I like to say 60% of my lower body is on the lead side, and 60% of my upper body is on the trail side. And when that all happens, I've got what we call a reverse K position. And a reverse K position is, if I was making a K with my body, it would look like this. So it'd be a straight line down here, and then a little line going like that, and a little line going like that. That's a K. A reverse K is where we've kind of got a straight line going down this side, and then a little bit of a kick out that way with the trail leg, and a little bit of kick out this way with the side of the upper body here. And that's what we see in a reverse K position right there. So we want a little bit of that. Now, it's a little bit more pronounced with a driver than it is with an iron, okay? And particularly a sand wedge or a wedge, because you're bent over a little bit more, okay? But the point is that when you get in the right position, there's a weight distribution that you got to feel left side and right side, and a weight distribution that you have to feel with toe and heel. So by the time you get set up properly, the last thing that you have to worry about is where your arms are, okay? So we bend and break. We get our little tilt. And now I'm in here like this. And now the only thing you got to worry about is where your hands are, where your arms are. Now, what I like to see from the hands is I like to see them kind of underneath the chin. So if I'm standing in here like this, go back to that down the line there, Gibbsy, if you would. If I'm standing in there like that, now they're underneath the shoulders. And if I'm out here like this, now they're like outside of my head or underneath my eyes. I want them to be sort of here. Okay? So when I get set up to hit a shot, I've got bend and break. I've got my reverse K. I've got the balance of my feet and the arms as they hang. And now I'm ready to go. And what I can tell you is this: when you start to get comfortable with your posture, you've got a much better chance of being able to come back to the ball and hit it in the center of the club face. Enjoy the challenge of the game and appreciate the nuance of and the importance of the address position. Whether you're, again, as I said, a beginner or a very talented player, the address position is always going to be the most important part of the golf swing. And there is no golf swing in address. So pay attention to what you're doing in the address position, and you're going to improve the overall motion of your golf swing. To improve all parts of your game, subscribe to my channel and click the link below.